Hello, my beautiful souls. I am so excited for you for this episode because in this episode, I'm going to give you a simple 4-step process that's going to have a dramatic effect on your state from negative to positive. Like, it is profound. I use this process myself when I encounter negative self-talk, and it is incredible what a simple little process can do. So grab a pen and a piece of paper. The steps are going to be in the outline as well, but I want you to be really engaged in this episode because the shifts that you're going to experience when you do this, after you listen to this episode and you implement this and you try it out, is going to be profound. And I want to hear all about it because I myself experience big change with this process that I'm going to take you to. Okay, what is the process? Spill the beans. What is the process? The process is a process of reframing. And I like to just think of downward spirals and upward spirals because you might be like reframing, to me, the word reframing, this sounds kind of like flat, boring, and neutral, doesn't really say anything. I mean, it does. It's a reframe. But what does that actually do to you? What does it mean to you? What does that translate into? When we have negative inner self-talk, it takes us into a downward spiral energetically, vibrationally, emotionally, because we feed into every thought that we're having. And if it continues to just go down in this negative spiral, you just keep on dropping. So we got to catch that, change the tide, and have that downward spiral go upward. And what does that translate into? Like, why do you need to do that? Like, why can't we just spiral down in negativity? I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but I'm talking to business owners here, entrepreneurs. You can't be just wallowing around in negativity and just, staying there forever. We got to be proactive here. And I doubt that you want to stay in a self-hating inner self-talk, right? You want to be able to create that loving relationship with yourself so that you can be more empowered, so you can be more proactive, so you can feel like you're in charge, you can feel like you got control over yourself and your environment and your business, and so you can move forward feeling better equipped to handle anything that comes your way. So this is not positive thinking. The reason I'm emphasizing this process so much is because if you do it correctly and with authenticity, it will actually change your state. We need an actual state change to have a reality change. If you want to choose a more positive reality frame for yourself, but you feel like you can't because you're stuck in an emotion, that's what this process is for. Because a lot of times people feel like they're stuck. If they're stuck in an emotion, stuck in a negative self-talk, and they can't get out of it. So it's for you if you're wishing to get out of it. That's what this process is for. And this process will create a different state because that's what you're desiring, right? To give you a lot of trust in this process, I want you to know that this is not a process that I just pulled out of thin air. This is a process that's widely used in cognitive behavioral therapy. Just so you know, I am not a therapist. I'm not here to diagnose you or tell you what to do or what not to do. I just want to give you some tools here that has helped me tremendously. I'm also a subconscious reprogrammer, so I'm very aware of the subconscious and how our consciousness works. And for me, from someone who's very experienced with doing a lot of healing modalities, I want to share this with you so that you can try it out in a safe way and see how it works for you. And I can guarantee it's going to create shifts for you. Okay, step number 1, name the thought. So when you notice this negative state and you notice this negative pattern that's going on in your mind, pay attention, become aware. What is it that you are telling yourself that is making you feel a certain way? So cognitive behavioral therapy focuses on changing the thought. It's different from other therapies or like subconscious reprogramming, which I have done tons of, that focuses on the belief level. This focuses on the thought level. There's different angles we can come in and work from, and we're coming in on the thought level here. So if you need a quick reframe, this is where you want to go. So label the thought. What is it that you're thinking? So in business, it could be, for example, it could even be something that seems small, but creates a negative state in you. Maybe someone doesn't respond to your email, or maybe you've asked someone to complete a task and they didn't do it. What you're sensing is disrespect. And you're telling yourself, people don't respect me. Maybe that's the thought. We're going to use that as an example as I take you through these steps, but you can use these 4 steps for any thoughts that come up. But I want to use this as an example so you can get an idea of how it works. People don't respect me. Something might have happened. Didn't respond to an email. People don't follow through on the task that you asked them to. You name it. And you get this sense of disrespect. And the thought is people don't respect me. Now you've named it. So instead of just carrying on with your day in the state of like, oh, people don't respect me. No one ever responds to my emails. People don't follow through on the tasks that I tell them to do. Negative judgment, negative judgment, negative judgment, negative judgment, which just carries through in the rest of your day. If you're like, you know what, I don't actually want to be in this state. I want to shift this. I want to turn this around. Name the thought. Step number 1, people don't respect me. Simple as that. Step number 2 is challenge the thought. And I know that can be challenging, but I highly encourage you to challenge the thought. And it can be really tempting for your ego to be like, gather all of this evidence and be like, oh, but look, people don't respect me because this person didn't respond and this person didn't do that. And all of this, so-called evidence for this thought. But I want you to challenge it. And the way that you're going to challenge it is asking yourself some questions. Here are the questions that you're going to ask. And you want to be positive but critical. Is there another way of looking at the situation? Is there another way of looking at the situation? In this example of people disrespect me, is there another way of looking at the situation? Okay, well, let's say it's Peter who didn't respond to your email. Maybe you know that Peter is going through a really hard time. Maybe he's going through a divorce. Maybe he's scattered. Maybe he's got a drinking problem. Maybe he's got a whole bunch of stuff going on. And also, maybe you're not the only one that he doesn't respond to. Some people are slow to respond. That doesn't mean that it's okay for him to do that. But then you don't have to take it so personally. It becomes less about you. And maybe Peter's the only one that doesn't respond to your emails. Maybe you got like 15 other people who are very responsive and respond to your emails, respond to your text messages, and responds to your WhatsApp, and picks up your calls. There are maybe other people, most likely, that are very responsive to you. And here's the sweet spot. This is a really important step. It might seem trivial, but it's a very important step because what we're doing here is loosening up this attachment, this very strong attachment to a negative perspective. And we want to gather data for other perspectives. And we're not doing this to lie to yourself. You're not making up stories. You're not going to pretend that other people respond to you. You want to look for actual evidence for other perspectives. Oh, actually, I'm really respected by my friends. I'm really respected by other business partners. I'm really respected by peers in my industry. I'm really respected by my colleagues. So challenge that thought, because sometimes a singular event can have us go into a triggered mode where we globalize and we make it into black or white. Everyone disrespects me just because one person did something. Is that then necessarily true? Probably not. So is there another way of looking at the situation? That's the first question. Here's the second question. How would someone else think of this event? This really helps to change your perspective. So look at someone that you admire, and let's say they go through the same process. Let's say there's a successful woman or there's someone in the field and the industry that you're in that you really look up to, and someone doesn't respond to their email. How do you think they would handle the situation? So you can see how we're continuing to loosen up this perspective of, I'm disrespected. Oh, I'm disrespected. Someone didn't respond to my email. Is it really true? So ask yourself this question. How would someone else think of this event? It's about loosening it up and just seeing it from a different perspective. Question number 3. What would be the worst thing to happen if my feelings were true? Ooh, we have to go all the way sometimes. So sometimes we have this fear of really going deep into looking at our thought and what that really truly means. But we have to go there because when we go all the way, it just kind of falls apart. Because let's look at this. I am disrespected. Okay, what would be the worst thing to happen if my feelings were true? People disrespect me. What would be the worst thing that would happen if people actually disrespected me? It would be hard for me to lead people. I might not be able to make as much money as I would like. I wouldn't be able to grow my business to the extent that I want to. I would just stay in the state of feeling disrespected. And you can kind of notice that when you go through these things, there's 2 things that happen. Number 1 is here you get to kind of validate yourself Like, yeah, it kind of sucks to feel like that. That's true, you know? So you can have some compassion for the state that you're in and you get a little bit of a reality check. Wow, if I keep on feeling disrespected like this, I might not see the progress that I want to see in my business. So it's not about changing how people respond to you, it's changing your response to yourself. If I keep showing up feeling disrespected all the time, I'm not going to be able to make the progress that I want to see in my business. So I need to change how I feel. Me feeling disrespected all the time is not going to help myself. And it's not about puppeteering everyone and telling everyone to respect you, not at all. I'm going to do a whole nother episode about that, how to gain respect from people. And it's not what you think it's going to be. I can tell you that. That's going to be a fun one. It's about changing your state. And if I keep generating this state in myself, taking full responsibility for the state that you create, am I going to see the results that I want to see in my life? No. So I better change my state. All right. And question number 4, am I considering all factors, not just the ones that are the most obvious? So what are other factors going on here? And what this helps with is it makes you zoom out. So when we get really attached to a thought, we get so hyper focused, and it's like we get this super tiny little laser vision on just that little tiny particular thing. And when you zoom out, you're like, oh wow, there's a lot going on here actually. Maybe you're running a huge campaign and there's tons of people involved, and maybe an email just got missed. His inbox is full of hundreds of emails, and he's just really trying his best to respond to everyone, and he missed that one. So is it really you being disrespected, or maybe it's Peter just being overwhelmed? And again, it's not about enabling other people to treat you in a way that you don't want to be treated. It's just being able to loosen your attachment to an extreme negative thought about yourself, because it's not going to help you at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, you want to be able to talk to Peter and say, hey, I'm going to need you to respond to my emails because this project is really important. I'd really appreciate it if you do that. Done. There's no need to go into the story of like, oh, Peter disrespects me and gossip about him and blah, 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 blah. Not necessary. If you want to be an effective leader, you're going to be solution oriented and stop taking things so personally. It's not even about you. It's their own personal story. It's what they got on and they're going on in their life. It's their abilities and their incapabilities. And you're there to teach them and guide them and lead them into better ways. And you're not going to do that by complaining about them, by judging them and shaming them. So you have to be able to take yourself into a leadership position and lead yourself into a better state, and then lead other people into better behavior. This is what you got to do as a leader. That's why I'm taking you through this process, so you can do this. And when you're able to do this, it feels so good. So step number 2, challenge the thought, and go through these 4 questions to challenge the thought. So can you see how I'm really dissecting this process here, and why it's not just about, oh, let's think positive, I'm amazing and everyone respects me. Why that doesn't work? We have to go in here and dissect this negative thought you have and really tear it apart to put you into a different perspective. So that was step number 2. We got 2 more. Hang in here, okay? Wake up. Have a sip of your coffee. Have a sip of your water. Have a sip of some hot chocolate, because we're going to go into step 3. Step number 3, choose a realistic reframe. And I'm emphasizing realistic here because we don't want to be lying to ourselves. We don't want to be like, oh, Peter loves me, he probably wants to marry me. We're not going to choose some silly thing, or like, absolutely everyone on the planet respects me. You have to choose something realistic. So you want to find a neutral, believable thought that expands in your body instead of contracting. So this is all about the feeling. So choose a realistic reframe. So let's say in this situation, you had the thought, everyone disrespects me because Peter didn't respond to your email. What's a different realistic reframe that would feel authentic to you? And again, you got to try these out like trying on pairs of jeans, because you have to find what feels true, authentic, and helpful, and not just something that's going to create a contraction. So try it on different things. You could try, the process that I'm going through with Peter is teaching me how to become a better leader. This process that I'm going through with Peter is teaching me how to not take things so personally. This process that I'm going through with Peter is teaching me how to become a better teacher. Now suddenly Peter's a blessing because he's the catalyst for your growth, right? Oh, what happens there? You step into gratitude. Now you're suddenly grateful for Peter. You're like, you know what, Peter? Thank you. Because of you, now I can use this reframe process, and now I feel empowered. This is what happens when we're able to take situations that feel negative, that feel disempowering, and we flip them into empowering ones. But we have to have the right processes to do that. And this is one of them. So that's step number 3. Choose a realistic reframe. Try on different perspectives and see which ones feel more like, yeah, actually, I can go with that one. I can go with that one. Every leader goes through challenges. That's true. All leaders go through challenges with employees, with business partners, and they grow from them. I can grow from the situation. Suddenly now you're opening this floodgate of like more positive, different perspectives. And you will begin to hear, you can probably start to feel like, yeah, I'm starting to feel a lot different about this, actually. That's step number 3. Okay. Step number 4. Now you're starting to feel the shift, right? You're noticing that you can have a different perspective. You're noticing that you can challenge the thought. You notice that you can actually be grateful for the situation because it's teaching you something about yourself. So feel the shift. You have different perspectives now. So now you can ask yourself, and this is to really lock it in. Here are the 3 questions to ask yourself. How does this new perspective feel in my body? So for example, with the perspective of, you know what? All leaders go through challenges. All big leaders go through challenges. How does that feel in your body? You can actually kind of feel a bit more at ease. Probably feel a little bit more self-compassion. You probably don't feel so alone. And you probably don't feel like it's so much about you, right? You probably feel a sense of camaraderie with big leaders. Then you feel a bit more acceptance, right? You feel like you can be a bit more okay with what's happening instead of having so much resistance to what's happening. So how does this new perspective feel in my body? What becomes possible now? That's the second question. What becomes possible now? Now we're opening it up to different potentials, because before, when we were so attached to this everyone disrespects me reality, that was the only reality. We're so attached to that, and there was only negative outcomes from that. Now that you have these different perspectives, what's possible now? Now that you're here with this different perspective, you probably have a completely different attitude towards how you're going to handle the situation with Peter. You're probably going to approach him with less hostile energy. You're probably going to be more respectful towards him and still very professional, being able to deal with the situation and ask for what it is that you need without feeling so disrespected. And that's going to be energetically picked up, because guess what? People feed into our belief systems. If you approach people with this hot, charged story of I'm disrespected, guess what? They're going to unconsciously adapt to that belief system and reflect that back to you. Like, this is how our mirror reality works. But now you're approaching Peter in a more calm, grounded, collected energy, and you're just simply asking for a change in behavior. And if he's not able to implement that, that's not a negative consequence for you. That's a negative consequence for him. You're not in the loss here. He is. You're more empowered now. So what's possible now? Now it's possible to have a conversation without it being hostile. Now it's possible to create some change without it being an argument. Now it's possible to approach a person feeling more calm and regulated, right? And the last question is, what supportive step do I want to take next? And that closes the whole loop from thought to feeling to perspective to action. Now you can actually go and create a different outcome for yourself. So before this whole process, with this whole idea of like, I'm disrespected because someone didn't respond to my email, Peter probably hates me, blah, 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 blah. If you had just left that, that would have been stuck in your body, a story that would have just kept on playing itself out. Maybe you never would have approached Peter, but every time you saw him, you would have had this energy of like, ugh, you know, and he would have felt that, and it would have just been this weird charge between the two of you. Now that you've done this process, and again, you can apply this to any situation that you have a negative thought around to empower you to create a better outcome. Now, what positive, supportive step can you take next? And now you have a lot more self-compassion. You've validated your feelings. You have an understanding of the situation. You're able to shift your perspective. So now you feel more equipped to come up with solutions, right? So now you can create a list. What steps do you want to take? Well, I'm definitely going to do reframing every time I see you. Notice this negative self-talk. I'm going to be more proactive with communicating what's important to my colleagues and my business partners. Hey, it's really important that I get a response within 24 hours because we're working on a deadline here and I want to get this project moving. Boom. You know, I can be way more proactive in my communication. I'm going to be way more clear in expressing what it is that I need. I'm going to give realistic timeframes so that people can have an understanding of how to communicate to me. I will make it easier for people to help me. I will help people to help me and make it easier for other people to show up for me. There's a way cleaner energy there. What's the energy there compared to all people disrespect me? It's way cleaner. It's way higher. It's way more proactive. And it puts you in the driver's seat. It makes you empowered to make the right decisions that will create better outcomes for you. So this is really a self-empowering reframing process. So that was the reframing process. I really want you to go try it out. And I know if I really fleshed it out here, you can do this fast. You can spend as long as you want with it. Just go through the 4 steps and feel the shift in your body and notice how you can address the situation from a completely different state. So this is my gift to you today. Please message me or comment wherever you're listening to this, on YouTube or Spotify, any platform. Feel free to reach out to me and share with me the shift that you're experiencing, because this is what we're here for, to support each other, to create shifts, right? So feel free to share with me. I love to hear your feedback. Keep on tuning in. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next episode.